and welcome to another one of my videos on cooking made easy with Thermomix. I'm just going to show you a video on using our Thermomix here and how making a vegetable stock paste, how easy it is. Making so many of our basics that we keep in the pantry is one of the great benefits of a Thermomix, as well as obviously cooking all your meals and desserts and cakes and breads and things. But you know, just to build up a pantry full of homemade basics like the homemade stock paste, vegetable stock paste, where you know it's all cooked from scratch and it's full of goodness and no preservatives, is really a great benefit for Thermomix. So I'm just going to show you how to make that. Okay, now I'm going to put parmesan in mine. Parmesan is optional. You don't have to use it if you're vegetarian or vegan and don't want to, or you just don't want parmesan. So we are going to get that noisy, as you know, with parmesan. And I've also doing a little bit more than normal because I've got to use it up, and we use a lot of parmesan anyway, so I decided just to grate all that I have. Okay, so just bear with me while it's noisy. Okay, super, that's that done. So we're just going to transfer it to bowl to put in a bit later. So as I say, I grate all of mine up because it obviously gets used a lot with pastas and risottos and things like that. So I might as well do it all in one go, and it keeps in the fridge in an airtight container with no problems. You can also use all your rind and everything with it. It's no waste when you're using the parmesan on there. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. To that bowl. Okay, so next we're going to start to add in our vegetables that I just prepared here. So first up, we've got 200 grams of celery stalks. So I've just cut these into pieces, normal sort of size pieces. I mean, I might just put all this through in because it's easier than pulling it all out. So we've got 200 grams of celery stalks, 250 grams of carrots. So again, I've just sliced those to pieces. 100 grams of onions, just cut into our halves. And tomatoes, so I'll just put those in. I've also put in my courgettes in there as well. So again, just sliced courgettes, that comes up in a minute. So tomatoes is 100 grams of tomatoes, just cut into pieces. I've put the courgettes in already. 1 garlic clove. Here, mine's quite a small one, so I'm just putting 2 in. I quite like the garlic. Fresh mushrooms. Mushrooms are optional, or if you want it to be a more mushroomy taste on the stock paste, then just put a bit more mushrooms in. You know, up to you. As you know, with Thermomix, you can do it as and how you like it. Dried bay leaf, that is optional, so it's up to you if you want that in. And got 6 sprigs of mixed fresh herbs. So I've used basil, rosemary, and it says sage. Anything. I've just seem to be at the moment having problems getting sage anywhere, so I think I have to start growing that this year. And fresh parsley, 4 sprigs. So I've just got all of that in there together, just mixed in. Okay, super. So now I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to use the spatula in here. Get that one in, just to turn it around initially, simply because obviously there's quite a lot of volume in there and some really sort of chunky vegetables. So just, although that blade's obviously very powerful and can deal with it, it just helps to keep it moving round. So we turn it to a speed 7 for 10 seconds. Super. So I'm just going to scrape down the sides, and already it's just taking it into like a mush there. Okay. So you can see that on there. You can just see even in that 10 seconds already, it's taking it down into very small pieces. Okay, so we're going to add in salt. Now salt acts as the preserving agent for it, which means you can therefore then keep it in your fridge for, you know, quite a few months, really a couple of months or whatever. So that's the benefit really of the salt. If you don't want to have the salt in and you want to reduce it, then you would need to be freezing the stock paste in order for it to be able to keep for a long time, be able to use it as and when, otherwise it won't keep. So it is quite a lot of salt, you can reduce it down. And when it's mixed up with the water, it won't taste salty. It does, although it sounds like it's a lot, with the volume of all the vegetables and everything as well, it will be fine. Okay, so 30 grams of dry white wine. I'm going to use the white wine, but if you don't want to use alcohol or white wine, then you can just use water. Okay, and then some olive oil in there as well. So it's just a tablespoon of olive oil. Now a heaped teaspoon of the stock paste is basically the equivalent of one of your dry vegetable stock cubes, and so one of those is per 500 grams of water to make your half a litre of stock, vegetable stock. So when the recipe says about vegetable stock and everything in there, it's just one heaped teaspoon that you need of your paste. So obviously the amount we're making will obviously go a long way for you. And we're just going to put the simmering basket instead on top of here, so that basically that when it starts to cook and everything, the steam can escape and help it to reduce down and not be too watery. So we're going for 25 minutes. If you've got very fresh vegetables, then you might need it to go a bit longer, because sometimes with fresh vegetables they'll give out a lot more water content than older vegetables, so you just need to be wary of that. So it's like these things, check it, it's the consistency that you want it to be as well, and everything. So yeah, that's just going to cook now, about 25 minutes, and then we'll have a look at that once it's done at the end. Okay, so that's now finished cooking, so we're just going to have a look at the next bit, because we're going to add in, so we're just going to remove our steaming basket there. That's allowed all the vegetables etc to reduce down, so I'm just going to push that in. It's bowled over on there, kept it contained in the bowl. Just move that out the way. Okay, so now it should be fairly thick and fairly dry, so I'm just going to remove the lid. Just see there, just put that off the lid into our bowl. You can see coming off of there that it is quite now that thick sort of paste mixture. I'll show you, push down. And I'll just show you. So we're now going to add in the cheese and just to blend it there. So I'll just show you, you can see there now how it's a much thicker paste. So, okay, so we can just add in that reserved Parmesan cheese that we grated earlier. I can put that lid back on. Oops. That back in. Okay, so we're going for a minute now that we're just going to blend that all up so it just becomes a nice smooth paste. We're just going to take it round to a speed 4, and then I'm going to just gradually, as that minute counts down, just going to pull that back up and increase that speed that we're doing on that blending. It's very powerful mozzarella blend, so just mix it right up. Top speed of 10, we're just keeping it at speed 7. Last 30 seconds. Okay, and next. Okay, so now we can transfer it to a jar. So we're just going to take that down off of there. Lid. Now, if you wanted to reduce your salt as well, you can reduce it down by 50% and then freeze it. And then what that will do is make, because it hasn't got all the salt in it, it will still not freeze solid. And therefore you can take your heaped teaspoon out of the freezer from a sort of like a fairly, not semi-frozen, I guess, paste if you had it in frozen in a jar in there. So I'm actually going to use that lid. The lid also is quite handy because it also acts as a funnel as well. That's my jar, so I'm going to now put it into this airtight jar to store it. If I can get that right, get it to balance okay, and then we can just pour that through into the jar using that lid as a funnel. Okay, so you can see how much I feel I've got that left still. I've got my jam jar here also full. So as you can see, it obviously makes quite a lot, so it's a good idea to be able to freeze it into ice cube trays as well as another idea. Then you can just take out your ice cubes, however many you want for your recipe, and use it that way as well. So there you go. Very simple, very easy. Great using up any waste vegetables that come into the end of their life. Anything, you can put whatever you want into your veg stock paste, whatever you like. And yeah, it's so simple, much cheaper in terms of the amount you make, and also because obviously it's a lot fresher and made from scratch than using the dried stock cubes. Okay, hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll show you a finished picture at the end. Thanks, nice to see you, bye.